I should mention, for what it's worth, that I own shares in all three of the companies presenting this afternoon. They're all different, as you will find out. But I own shares in all three and actually asked if I could be the MC for these three. And next speaker, what do I say? If you think I speak funny, just wait till you hear him. So the next is actually a hybrid company. It's the Gold Group. And the Gold Group manages several gold companies within the Gold Group. Bruce Smith, our speaker, is the project development officer for the Gold Group. He's also the CEO of one of the companies, Radius, and he's going to be talking today about a couple of the companies within the Gold Group.
Thank you. No, I think this will work. I just have to check the pointer. Right, so I hope I can figure out how to work this. Everybody, thank you for coming and listening to my talk. My name's Bruce Smith. I am the Business Development Manager for Gold Group, but I'm a geologist. I work in the field. Last week I was in Ecuador in the jungle looking at gold porphyries. Next week I'll be in Mexico looking at antimony projects. So I'm a field geologist, and I come to these occasionally because I'm also the Chief Executive Officer of Radius. So Gold Group, what's Gold Group? Gold Group is a management group founded by Simon Ridgway in the middle there. Simon founded a lot of companies over the years, and it's a cheap way to operate public companies by having several in the same office. So we currently have 4 companies, Rackla, Radius, Volcanic, and Electrum. And those 4 companies share a CFO, share the same accounting team, share the same telephones, the same people, and it just lowers the cost to all the public companies. And we are junior explorers. And Simon set up these companies. He's had a lot of success in his career. Fortuna Silver Mines was a big one. It's currently a $2 billion mining company with half a dozen mines around the world. And they operate out of our office up until just recently, till they merged in Africa. So I'm going to talk about Gold Group companies, 2 in particular, Radius, the one that I run, and Rackla is working in the Northwest Territories. I'll talk about those 2 because those are the next upcoming drill programs that we'll do. So Radius, first of all, it's a junior company. Share price, I've got up there 10 cents, but today it's 15. We go up pretty fast. I only wrote this a week ago. We have 3 major projects. Amalia Gold Silver Project in Mexico. We have Holly in Guatemala and Tierra Roja. And this is a different presentation that I thought that I was going to give. So anyway, we'll deal with that as we go along. Yeah. We've got version 2, but that's all right. We'll just deal with this one. So Radius Gold has a property called Tierra Roja in Peru. Why do we go to Peru? We just heard about copper, how important it's going to be. Peru is the 2nd biggest copper producer in the world. And the terrain I've got up here on the board, that district is about 400 kilometers long by between 100 and 200 kilometers wide. It's the red bit in the corner. It's not very big, right? It's quite a small area, but that on its own would be in the top 5 producers in the world if it were a country. So out of this small corner of southwest Peru, they produce more copper out of there than the entire United States or Canada. So it's a massive copper terrain. Carrying on. I went there about 6 months ago. I was invited by a Peruvian geologist I know, an old retired guy called Luis Montoya. He'd worked for 50 years, he's 85. He's worked for all the big copper companies, Lowell, Asarco, Minsor, dozens, Codelco. And in his retirement, he picked up this property on the coast of Peru. It's low level, so it's not like an Andean porphyry, not like a Canadian porphyry. It's right near to the coast. It's in the Atacama Desert. There is nobody there. That's the great thing, no communities to deal with, no forest to cut down. It's the ideal mining place in a massive copper terrain. So we looked at that, and even if this massive copper terrain is so rich and wealthy with giant mines, why wasn't this found? It's because on the Atacama coast, copper systems there, they developed this cap rock, where with rule. Wait for our mates up at the back and see if we can get the presentation back again. Go. So it forms this soil cap over the top called a sulfate crust. The sulfate crust can form when copper sulfides or some kind of sulfides are oxidized, and leaves a sulfate. It mixes with iron, it forms a cap, and if you break that cap, you can see the copper underneath. So you'll see at the top where it says no copper visible, that's what it looks like. You break it with that track or a bulldozer cut, and you can see the copper oxides pouring out. Why is there a lot of mines there? One of the things about that southern Peru is these are oxidized deposits. They go into sulfides at depth, but copper oxide is way easier to produce than a sulfide. Copper oxides, you can blast it, pile it up on the ground, throw sulfuric acid out of it, leach it, make copper plates. It's a cheap process, so the cost of copper production is very low. A lot of these mines are operating at 0.3, 0.4 copper, as opposed to a sulfide deposit, which is like difference between oxidation and a sulfide is just weathering. So the sulfide deposits in Canada or in the Andes, they have to be crushed, floated, sold to a smelter, maybe in China, maybe somewhere, because there's not many smelters in the US. So we're looking for oxide copper. We have an 800 meter by 800 meter footprint of high-grade oxides at surface. This is the sampling that was taken by myself and by the previous owners over the last couple of years, and we've got a wide zone of high-grade copper at surface. You can see grades there above 3%. Our best is 12. We've got chip samples, across 35 meters at 1.2% copper. So the mine is not going to stick out at the ground. We've got to drill it. This is a map of the alteration there. It's just showing that the key alteration is a silica sericite alteration. There's a discussion about whether we have a porphyry system or an iron oxide copper gold. We've had about 10 senior geologists there, and we've got 5 opinions. I don't know, but I have a lot of oxide copper at surface, and the only way to find out is to drill it. So recently we did some geophysics. We did what's called conductivity. First thing, when you look at geophysical images that anybody shows you, you can make a pretty red target out of any geophysics. It's really easy, and so don't believe it all, right? In this case, I made a very pretty red image, but what it tells us is chargeability is when you pump electricity in the ground. It's the ability of the ground to hold that electricity, charge up like a battery, and give it back to you. There are several things that can do that. Sulfides, copper sulfides can do it. Graphite, clay alteration, high fracturing. There's a lot of things that can do it that can give you this result. We're seeing chargeabilities that are 3 times higher than the background. But what I like about it is our chargeability is coincident with our outcrop in copper mineralization. So I suspect it's not graphite, right? It could be structure, it could be something else, but that's what I'm going to drill before Christmas. And I hope within 2 to 3 months we'll be drilling there. But guaranteed this year, I'll have that hole down the middle, straight underneath those high-grade copper oxides to find out if we have a big system. So the next project is in Radius as well. It's a joint venture. I'm not spending any money on it. It's in Guatemala. Volcanic is going to pay for the next round of exploration, so that's good for me. Guatemala is a tough place, but I'll show you why it's a good place to work for us at this time. This is a map of big faults. And the interesting thing is you can see the giant faults running from right through Dominican Republic from Puerto Rico, cutting across the ocean floor, smashing into Guatemala. And when they hit the coast of Guatemala, those giant faults displaced the coastline by 40 kilometers. These are big plate boundaries, and they cut through the middle of Guatemala, and we're drilling on one of those. There's some giant deposits on that fault, by the way. The Pueblo Viejo in Dominican Republic, Escobal in Guatemala are some huge, huge deposits. They're twin faults. There's actually about 4 or 5 of them. We're on the southern leg of one. And at Holly Project, we have a small resource. It's high grade, 9 grams equivalent. It's gold, silver. We've got 400,000 ounces there. Don't read all the detail. But what have we got there that's really interesting? This is the drilling done to date. And what I want you to have a quick look at, if this works, it does, is the grades at the bottom of that slide. Both sides of the big Hockatan fault zone, which trucks off out to the Pacific, we have widths of about 4 or 5 meters, grades of 50 grams of gold and 4 kilos of silver on the one side, 79 grams of gold and 5 kilos of silver on the other side. So it's phenomenal grade. That's why, Simon will choose to spend some of his money drilling there before Christmas. Even though Guatemala's quite a tough country, the grades are phenomenal and the potential is huge. So for Radius, that's a good deal because we're not paying for the drilling. So our next drill targets are right in the middle of that fault zone and to depth to find out what's underneath, to see if we can expand the 400,000 ounces we already have. It's a 60-40 joint venture. And the last thing I would like to talk today about is Rackla Metals. And the title of my talk is, what is Gold Group's next drilling? I just got the message today that they'll be drilling there in the morning. We've already had quite a ramp up in price. So if anybody's been watching Rackla, from 2 weeks ago we were 30 cents and today we're 60 cents. And that's always the case, anticipation of the drilling, and this is actually a phenomenal drill target that we've got. So for those who don't know, the Tombstone Belt is in Northwest Territories and Yukon Territory in the north of Canada. There's some big deposits on the western side of the belt. Eagle Creek, 8 million ounces, Banyan Gold, 7 million ounces. Banyan's here, go and talk to them. They've got a great discovery that's been growing fast. There's over 17 million ounces of gold discovered here in the last 5 years. 17 million ounces in 5 years. And the main discovery is this one here, circled in red, Snowline. I don't know whether many people know about that, but I was here at this conference in 2021. Snowline was trading at 40 cents. And they announced that they'd drilled their first hole. They didn't announce the grade, they just said that they had seen massive amounts of sheeted veining. And so Simon and I were here and we looked at that and we looked at the core and we thought, this is going to be good. We knew it was going to be good. We got a plane from here, we flew straight to Whitehorse, we chartered a helicopter and we staked everything on the Northwest Territory side that was open. So most people have been looking on the Yukon side of the border. We staked everything on the Northwest Territory side of the border. We had 2 years looking at the Astro-Plutonic complex and Rackmain, and we drilled a couple, but I finally think they've found a great one, and that's this thing called Grad. So Grad has never been worked on by anybody before. It came out of a process from the Northwest Territory government. It's very supportive. They've looked at the mining industry. They've negotiated with the First Nations people. They recently zoned some parks and zoned some First Nation reserves and zoned this one out available for exploration. And we staked it, and we're the first company to have ever staked it. At the end of the last season in September last year, my mate Doug Murray flew a helicopter in there, dropped on that site, stepped out the helicopter, saw the iron oxides, grabbed a sample, and it went 100 grams. So they flew back, and Doug did this at the end of end of the season, so it's just about to snow. He took all these rock chip samples, 6 grams, 90 grams, 11, 5, really nice numbers to get you excited. Took a 38-meter channel sample, 1.8 grams of gold, starting to look very exciting, starting to look exactly like snowline. So then on the last days before it was snowed out, we couldn't climb that cliff face in those days. We ran along the bottom of the cliff face and sampled the talus. So that's all of the rock scree slope coming down, and they sampled it systematically, just walked along, and every 10 meters, stuffed the rock falling off the face into a bag, right? And they got 550 meters long at a gram, yeah? And a core zone of 180 meters long at 3.6 grams. And if you know anything about snowline, those are super impressive numbers. This is the news release yesterday. They just flew up there, landed on the ridge, put a team out, started finding the same material on top of the ridge, and it's 400 meters from the floor of the valley to the top of the ridge, 400 meters, and they're seeing the sheeted veins. And the key to this gold, and if anybody knows Joe Muzumda, he's one of the best analysts out there. You'll find him in the crowd, read his thing, Exploration Insights. The key to discovering these things is the number of sheeted veins per meter. We are seeing the right amount of sheeted veins. So this is the whole grad intrusive system. You can see up there, the circle around it is the big intrusive. The red patch is where we're seeing the sheeted veins. But remember, we've only been working on this for a few weeks, really. End of the season, then we have the snow season come in. We just got back in the last few days. So I'm sure that this will grow. I'm sure that this will grow. And what's our potential? You've got to think about what is the size potential if we find a big mine. Snowline went from pre-drilling, they were 40 cents 2021 when I came to this conference. Today they're $8. That's a 2,000% increase. They went up by 1,000% after their first hole. So 10x just on that first hole. And right now they have 8 million ounces. How big is 8 million ounces? So if you think about the high grade here, you think about that box I drew, and I just put on top of the screen. It's 400 meters, which is the base of the mountain to the top of the mountain. 180 meters by 180 meters is the high-grade zone where we got 3.6 grams. And if you do that cube calculation, you come up with 35 million tons, and that makes it really easy to calculate because 35 million tons at a gram is 1 million ounces. 2 grams is 2 million ounces, and so on. And how many of those red things can we hide in that red box? We can hide a lot. Plenty of room to make a 5, 10 million ounce discovery. That is the Snowline deposit. It is 200 kilometers away to the northwest of us. You can see measured and indicated 8 million ounces. They've got a $1.2 billion market cap today from the first drilling, from the first hole in 2021 till today. They've gone up 2,000%. And we are, of course, trying to find the same. This is called Valley. Down in the valley, the outcrop was small. It was probably in a creek from that door to that door long. That's all they had. They had a soil anomaly that was 900 meters long. So in comparison, we have the sort of same geochemistry. We have the tellurium, the bismuth. We have the high-grade gold that they have. We have the same size footprint. We just haven't drilled it. That's the height of the mountain. We see the stockworks with gold up to 100 grams at the base of the slope. We just landed the helicopter on top the other day. We're seeing the same stockworks up there. We don't know what's underneath. Drilling starts tomorrow. So even though we just traded up to, I think, to 60 cents today, and people have said, oh, you've doubled already, there's no room to rise, you just got to think about what happened to Snowline. So I think I have a minute left. I don't know whether I take questions here, but I'll be at the desk over there. If anybody wants to come and have a chat about either Radius or Rackla, feel free to come and have a chat. Thanks, Adrian.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all for listening. Thanks.
Thank you.